Hey everyone. Today we're talking about Minecraft discs. I think there's like 3 of them. I know there's the 2 scary ones, and then there's Cat. Well, it turns out there's actually a lot of discs in Minecraft. 13 to be exact. And today we are going to be ranking all of them from worst to best. Keep in mind that this list is entirely my opinion, so don't get mad if I rank your favorite disc very low. Also, even though there are going to be some discs ranked low, it doesn't mean I hate them. With all that being said, let's get into the list. So, in last place, we have 13.
See, it's funny because the name of the disc is 13, and this is the 13th place spot. Please laugh.
I don't think this choice is a surprise to anyone that knows anything about the music discs. After all, this track was intentionally made to make the listener feel uneasy. However, I'm putting it below its sister track, 11, because I personally think 11 is a more uneasy song, and therefore achieves its goal better. The track 13 mainly consists of muffled sound effects within Minecraft, such as cave noises, creeper explosions, and bow shots. Overall, the track is very eerie, but I would never want to listen to it in my own time. Like I said when talking about 13, 11's another disc that features music meant to make the listener feel uncomfortable. And while I think it does this better than 13, it's still not a song I would want to listen to. With that being said, I do appreciate how creepy the track is and the theories that have been made about this disc and 13. So after the 2 obvious picks, we begin to get serious. As for my least favorite real disc, we have Strad. Now I want to reiterate to all the hardcore Strad stands out there that just because I ranked it as my least favorite of the standard discs doesn't mean I don't like it. For a majority of these picks, the most important factor of the rankings is just my personal music taste, and I just don't personally like the song. The track has a very tropical vibe due to the steel drum, but I personally just don't like that kind of music. Strad is certainly not a bad track, but it is my least favorite of the music discs, besides 11 and 13. Next up, we have a lesser-known track than most others, though not necessarily for no reason. There isn't really much to say about this one, hence why it's often forgotten. The track is very tranquil to the point where it's almost kind of boring to listen to, which is actually my biggest criticism. I think if it had a little bit more complexity, I wouldn't consider it to be boring and would rank higher. The second half is pretty nice though. When I first listened to this track to make this video, I heard the first few seconds and thought to myself, wait, this sounds familiar. Only to realize that Wait is actually a remix of the song Minecraft, which is pretty cool. However, after learning this, I knew that it just wouldn't be able to compete with the original version. After all, the original is absolutely iconic. I think my main problem is once again the less exciting parts in the track, but to less of an extent than in Far, since Wait does have some pretty nice sounding and lively parts. Now comes a very controversial pick, and even though most people will strongly disagree with me on this choice, I am sticking with it. I'm here to say that Cat just isn't that good. If anything, this disc is just perfectly average, but definitely not near the top of music discs like a lot of people think. My theory as to why a lot of people consider Cat to be one of the best music discs is simply that the people that think this, more often than not, have never heard any other music discs. Because Cat is the only disc besides 13 that can spawn as chest loot in the Java edition of the game, most players have only really heard Cat since they wouldn't go out of their way to get the other discs with the skeleton creeper method, which is why many see Cat as the best disc. As for the track itself, I find it to be completely average for music discs, but I've heard this track way too many times to rank it anything higher than 8th. Hopping back into the more unknown discs, we have Maohai. And after passing Cat, there isn't going to be a lot of bad things I can say about these discs. I really like the melancholy that the track produces, with the waltz rhythm and the mellotron sample used, but my biggest criticism is actually the length. With the track only being 1.5 minutes long, I feel like it ends just way too quickly for me to really get into the music. Other than that, there isn't much else to say about Maohai other than it's pretty good. So funnily enough, we're actually jumping from one of the shortest tracks to the longest. This track, of course, is Blocks. In a lot of ways, Blocks is a direct counterpart to Maohai, whereas Maohai is short and melancholic, Blocks is much longer and has a much happier sound to it. And funnily enough, I have the exact opposite problem with Blocks. While I do like the sound of the track, I find it to just be a little too long for me to stay focused on for the entire duration of the song, especially after the transition to the slower half. Once again, another pretty good track, but there are definitely better ones. I won't lie, this pick is definitely the most biased of the entire list. If I was going to make an objective list, I would most likely put this around 8th or 9th, since it's technically not that special. However, this is not an objective list, and this track is ranked so high for one sole reason. I absolutely love the sample used in the beginning of the track. It's a sample of a bossa nova track, which is, first of all, one of my personal favorite music genres, and it gives just such a nostalgic feeling to the track. In all honesty, the second half of the track isn't even that amazing, but the sample used in the beginning completely carries the track up to the 5th place spot for me. This pick is actually very similar to Chirp. Both Ward and Chirp have very prominent samples near the start, but although I don't like the sample as much in Ward, the tune that follows the sample is a much better one than on Chirp. I find the contrast between Ward's sample of the Funeral March and the more upbeat and synthy tune that follows very interesting in the way that they're such different types of music, but they still work very well together. In addition, the tune is very lively and interesting to listen to despite its long run time. There are definitely some common trends within the Minecraft discs. One of these being the calm music disc type, with discs like Far and Wait to an extent, but most pale in comparison to the best calm track, Maul. If you remember when I was talking about Far, my biggest criticism of it was that it was just too boring. In my opinion, Maul is far done the right way. It's still tranquil and nice to listen to, but it has enough complexity and variation to keep it interesting. This entire track is just absolutely beautiful, and is without a doubt my favorite of the calm discs within Minecraft. So, as most of us know, every single music disc besides Pigstep was made by legendary music producer C418. So, living up to the standards of his music discs while still making it unique enough would no doubt be challenging for any producer striving to make a disc. However, the producer for Pigstep and the rest of the Nether Update soundtrack, Raine, absolutely nailed it. I personally think that Pigstep achieves a near perfect balance between keeping a familiar Minecraft sound while still being different enough to be unique. Not to mention that the track itself is just great on its own. Even the little things like the noises of frying bacon in the background just make the track even better. However, while I do believe Pigstep is a great new disc, it still can't come close to the first place disc, which I think we can all guess by now. And finally, without any doubt in my mind, the best Minecraft disc, in my opinion, is Stall. For nearly every player familiar with this track, they either love it or completely despise it. And for this reason, it has become one of the most, if not the most, polarizing music disc within all of Minecraft. And with this list, I would like to officially proclaim myself as a member of the Stall Gang. And let me explain why. Firstly, I am a die-hard jazz nerd, and so any jazz track in any game will immediately make me pretty happy. So you would not believe my joy when I first heard that double bass and sax on the track. But besides my bias towards the genre, I have to talk about the most infamous part of this track, the recorder. I know it's a meme, I know it sounds kind of silly, but I just genuinely really like the recorder interludes, and even Stall haters have to admit at this point that it is super iconic. So that's why Stall ranks as my favorite disc in all of Minecraft. So yeah, that's all I got for this one. So just don't forget that the entire list is just my opinion. Once again, you are allowed to think differently. And one more thing I want to mention is that I'm going to try and start uploading more frequently, but they're most likely going to be just more gaming videos instead of the scripted ones, since the gaming videos are much easier and faster to make. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.